This video will take you through the first activity in our Fusion 360 intro exercise, which is to create a prism that is 1 inch by 3 inch by 5 inches. We will do this activity in class, but if you do not have access to Fusion 360 in class or you are absent from class, this lesson, this video will walk you through those steps so that you'll be able to do it on your own. So the first thing we need to do is to start a sketch. And if I go up to this like a green plus sign here, it says create sketch. So I'm going to click that. And then it asks me to choose which plane I want to start my sketch on. Now remember, we live in a three-dimensional world, and so we have an X, a Y, and a Z axis. We are typically going to start all of our designs on the XY plane. If you look over here at the isometric, which now should mean something to you since you've done isometric sketches, so you know you've got your front, your top, and your right, you can tell that the blue axis and the red axis are the Z and the X. The green one is the one going out in the back, and so you can't see it up here in the view cube, but it's the green axis, that's the Y one. So if I want the XY plane, I want that with the green and the red highlighted there. And so that's the one I'm going to click, and you can tell how it's like highlighted. You can see it's like it changed a different color there. And then as soon as I do that, it rotates. Now we do want to make sure that we are that we have the right units. So go ahead, click under on the left-hand side if you can't see where my mouse is. Document settings, we're going to do units, and then change those units to inches if they're not in inches. So you can click on active units and you can pick like centimeters, millimeters, meters, inches, feet. We're going to pick inches just to have that default unit. So go ahead and change that if it's not in inches. So what I'd like to do is draw my rectangle. So we've got different ways of drawing a rectangle. You can draw a rectangle with lines, okay? And this tool is pretty cool. When I hover it over it, you can see it creates lines and arcs, and you can create an arc by like holding down on the mouse, and you really, really need to be using a mouse with this program. This program is not meant to be used with a touchpad. So while you might like a touchpad and you might feel okay with a touchpad, you will not do things as efficiently or quickly as with a mouse. You're supposed to use the mouse. You also have a rectangle tool. And I think in the other video that I had you watch, I had you do, I did a 2-point rectangle. So for this one, I'm going to drop down in this create menu, and I'm going to go to rectangle. And this time I'm going to choose a center rectangle just so you can see what's different about the center rectangle. Center rectangle, you're going to select the first point. Well, actually tells you in the little gray box that pops up. So you select the first point as the center of the rectangle, and then select a corner point or specify width and height values. And so the little boxes will tell you whatever it is you're hovering over. So before you raise your hand and before you ask your neighbor or before you quit, make sure that you're reading all the information you have available to you. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to center it at the origin. As much as possible, you want to center things around the origin. So you either want your design to start at the origin or you want one corner of it to be at the origin. So I'm going to click that, and then notice when I drag it out, you can see the diagonals on there. And if you've taken geometry, one of the things you learn in geometry is that you can make a rectangle by making the diagonals congruent. That's one of the properties. So if you're in geometry, then working in this program is going to help you with some of your geometry stuff. If you've already taken geometry, then your geometry will help you with this. And if you are yet to take geometry next year, you'll definitely have a foothold in there. So we want to dimension it. So remember, we're trying to build a prism that's 1 inch by 3 inch by 5 inches. So this icon right here is for your sketch dimensions, and that is what allows you to set your dimensions. And I'll do this 2 different ways like I did in the other videos. So you can dimension something by hovering over it and then dragging it up. You want to make sure that you drag it far enough away so that it's not going to clutter your diagram, but you don't want it so far away that it goes like off of your page. And then we'll make this the 3 inches. And then the other way you can dimension, so if I want to dimension this here, I could click on it and drag it out. But another way I can do it is to click either side of it. So I can click here and then drag it down to here and then pull it off to the left. And that can come in handy when you can't grab the piece, or sometimes there's like no piece there to grab. It's like you just need to dimension a spot where there is nothing. You need to dimension the distance between two things, but not like there's no actual segment there. So that's really handy to know how to do. Okay, now I'm going to finish the sketch. Oh, here we go. Now, to make our prism, that we're going to do what's called an extrude. Okay, an extrude just takes a two-dimensional surface or closed sketch and pulls it out and makes it 3 dimensions. And when I do that, I can enter in a value here, so specify a specific distance to extrude, or you can kind of play with it like so. And you can also specify a taper angle, which we will do like later, like what it is to extrude with taper. It kind of makes it look like a flat top pyramid. But I'm going to go ahead and type 5 inches in there and click OK. Now, before I do that, though, we'll take a look over here. Direction one side. So if I click on that, you can actually like extrude it in 2 directions, like so, where you can extrude it like 2 different distances, or you can do something that's symmetric, which will extrude it like 5 inches in either direction. And if we're ever done with what we're doing, and you can only do this if you're done with what we're doing, but you start playing around. You'll learn a lot about Fusion just by playing around and looking at these drop-down menus and just seeing what they do. Here's our taper angle. We're not going to taper angle that like at all. And we are okay. And there's my first design. So to submit this, you're going to take a screenshot of it. But before you take a screenshot of it, I want you to just go and click this inspect, measure, and I want you to click on that and see how it says 5 inches in there. And then, okay. I want you to click on inspect. Let me like close that out. Okay. Inspect, measure, and then click 2 sides. So click like the tallest one and like the width, or you can do the length, and then scroll down so that I can see those measurements there. So I can see selection 1 and selection 2. Then you will take a screenshot of that, and yeah, you'll take a screenshot of that. And I don't know if I can show how that's going to work. No, I can't. Oh, crud. So the next video, I'll show you what to do with that.